I clenched my fists, breathing through the fire surging within me. The betrayal of my best friend and my wife, the two people I had trusted most, burned through my veins like molten rage. They had turned me into a joke behind my back, laughing in the shadows while I remained blissfully ignorant. But I wouldn't react in anger. Not yet. Storming in with accusations, demanding explanations. It would be foolish. They had already disrespected me in secret. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me crumble. No, I needed to be smarter, colder. If they thought they could make a fool of me, I would show them just how wrong they were. That night, I lay in bed beside Lillian, listening to her slow, even breaths. My body felt distant, as if I were floating outside myself, watching a stranger in my wife's place. She had kissed Ethan earlier that day. Had she come home and kissed me with those same lips? Touched me with the same hands that had traced over him? The thought sent a sick twist through my stomach. I turned onto my side, watching her sleep, studying the face I had once thought the most beautiful in the world. But now, all I saw was a liar, a betrayer. Morning came with the usual routine. Lillian stretched, yawning, reaching for her phone before even glancing at me. The sight made my chest tighten, but I forced a smile. "Morning, babe." She looked up, offering me a hesitant smile. "Morning. You up early?" I shrugged, sipping my coffee, watching her carefully. Couldn't sleep. Too much on my mind. She hesitated, just for a fraction of a second, before quickly masking it with concern. "Work stress." I nodded, lying effortlessly. "Yeah, you know how it is." She came over, pressing a kiss to my cheek, her fingers stroking my shoulder. "You work too hard. Love, maybe you need a break." A break. That's exactly what she was giving herself. With Ethan, I wrapped an arm around her waist, pulling her close. She stiffened for the briefest moment before forcing herself to relax. My heart twisted. Was that guilt that made her hesitate, or just fear of getting caught? "I was thinking," I murmured, brushing my lips against her ear. "Maybe we should have a date night soon. Just us." Her body tense again, a flicker of hesitation flashing across her face before she masked it with a bright smile. "Oh, that sounds great, babe, but this week is a little crazy for me. Maybe next weekend." I smirked inwardly. Predictable. She needed time to rearrange her schedule, to make excuses to Ethan. "That works," I said easily, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "I'll make it special." She beamed, pecking my lips before stepping away, heading toward the shower. The moment I heard the water running, I reached for her phone on the nightstand. My hands trembled slightly as I entered the passcode. Access granted. A pit formed in my stomach as I scrolled through her messages. At first, everything seemed normal. Chats with friends, co-workers, family. But then, I found it. A hidden conversation, disguised under a contact-labeled work meeting. Ethan. My pulse thundered as I skimmed through their exchanges. Flirty remarks, secret plans, explicit confessions. She even complained about me, calling me oblivious, boring, too trusting. A slow, cold rage curled in my chest like a coiled serpent. I placed the phone back exactly as I had found it, just as she stepped out of the bathroom, towel wrapped around her body, hair dripping. She flashed me a smile. "What are you up to?" I met her gaze, my own smile never faltering. "Just checking emails." She nodded, walking past me, oblivious. I watched her, my mind already formulating the perfect plan. She thought I was blind. She thought I was weak. She was about to learn just how wrong she was. The stage was set. I had the evidence, the motive, and the patience to let everything unfold exactly as I intended. Lillian had no idea I was watching her every move, that every lie she told only tightened the noose around her own neck. She carried on with her affair, convinced she had me wrapped around her finger. Ethan strutted through life, believing he had won some unspoken competition against me. Little did they know, I was simply giving them the rope they would eventually hang themselves with. I needed Lillian to feel safe in her deception, to believe I remained oblivious. If she suspected the truth, she might become cautious, maybe even end things with Ethan to save face. I couldn't let that happen. She had to dig her own grave, deeper and deeper, until she had no way out. One evening at dinner, I leaned back in my chair, my expression carefully neutral. "So, how's work been? You've been coming home late a lot." Her fork froze mid-air before she quickly forced an apologetic smile. "Ooh, it's been exhausting. You wouldn't believe the workload my boss dumped on me this month." I nodded, as if I believed her, cutting into my steak. "That sucks, babe. I hope they appreciate all the extra hours you're putting in." "They do," she said too quickly. "I mean, I think they do. It's just temporary. Once this project is done, I'll have more free time." Lies. She didn't even realize how transparent she was. I reached across the table, taking her hand in mine. "I miss you." Her eyes darted away, just for a second, before she forced another smile. "I miss you too." That was all I needed to hear. If she truly meant it, she would have looked me in the eyes when she said it. That same night, I set the next phase of my plan in motion. I had already started transferring our joint savings into a private account she couldn't access. I adjusted the ownership of our home, ensuring her name was removed from everything important, and she remained blissfully unaware, lost in the fantasy world she had built with Ethan. The final step? Total humiliation. A few days later, I sent her a message while she was at work. "Surprise weekend getaway. Pack your bags. We leave Friday." She called immediately, panic-lacing her voice. "Babe, this is so last minute. I don't know if I can." "I already spoke to your boss," I interrupted smoothly. "They said it's fine. You deserve a break." Silence. She was scrambling for an excuse, but I had left her no way out. "Oh, wow. That's really sweet of you," she finally said. "I guess I can make it work." She was trapped. That night, while she was in the shower, I checked her phone again. As expected, she had messaged Ethan. "Emergency. He planned a trip. I can't get out of it." Ethan responded almost instantly. "Damn, that's bad. Where are you going?" "Not sure yet. He won't tell me." "This is bad, Ethan. What if he knows?" "Calm down. He's an idiot. If he knew, he wouldn't be planning a trip." I smirked. "Oh, Ethan, you underestimated me so badly." Lillian spent the next few days on edge, but I played my role perfectly. The loving, doting husband. By the time Friday arrived, she had convinced herself that this was just a normal trip. That was her second mistake. Her first mistake had been cheating in the first place. We packed up and headed to the cabin. A secluded, romantic getaway in the mountains. No distractions. No escape. Perfect. Because I had already sent Ethan a message. A simple invitation. From Lillian's phone. "Meet me at the cabin tomorrow. I have a surprise for you." And Ethan, arrogant fool that he was, took the bait without hesitation. By the time he arrived, the trap would be set, and the real fun would begin. The crisp mountain air carried a stillness that was almost deceptive, wrapping around the secluded cabin like a cocoon. Inside, Lillian paced near the window, her fingers wrapped so tightly around her phone that her knuckles turned white. She tried to mask her unease by feigning interest in the view, but the tension in her shoulders betrayed her. She was waiting, hoping, desperate for a reply that would never come. Unbeknownst to her, I had intercepted every message the night before, quietly erasing each one Ethan had sent. As far as she knew, he had ignored her. The thought made me smirk. She had no idea how deeply I had woven myself into her lies, no idea that every move she made was being watched, controlled, manipulated. I moved through the cabin with deliberate ease, playing the role of the devoted husband flawlessly. I cooked her breakfast, let my fingers graze her skin in passing, pressed gentle kisses at her temple as though I was still the same blind fool she thought she had deceived. She barely touched her food, her appetite drowned by anxiety. I could see the thoughts swirling behind her eyes, the frantic effort to piece together what felt off, but she was already too entangled in her own deception to see the trap closing in. Then, a knock at the door shattered the fragile calm. Lillian froze. The blood drained from her face, and for the first time in all the months she had spent deceiving me, I saw true fear flicker across her expression. Her gaze darted to me, struggling to remain composed. "Are we expecting someone?" Her voice wavered, just slightly, but I caught it. I stretched casually, suppressing the grin that threatened to curl my lips. "No, But it's a remote place. Maybe the owner, dropping something off. Her grip tightened on the edge of the table, and I let her stew in the silence a moment longer before finally moving toward the door. I took my time, enjoying every second of her unraveling. She had no idea what was coming. When I swung the door open, Ethan stood on the other side, confusion shadowing his face. His brows knitted together, his gaze flicking past me, searching. For her, behind me, Lillian sucked in a sharp breath, her body going rigid. Feigning surprise, I turned back to her. "Honey," I drawled, voice dripping with mock innocence. "You want to explain why my best friend is at our romantic getaway?" She paled, lips parting, but no words came out. Ethan's expression darkened as understanding dawned. He looked from me to her, realization slamming into him like a freight train. He had walked straight into the snare, and there was no way out. I stepped aside, gesturing toward the living room with an easy smile. "Come on in, man. No need to stand out there looking guilty." He hesitated. He knew he shouldn't. But what choice did he have? Slowly, reluctantly, he stepped inside. The air grew heavier, thick with unspoken truths and brewing disaster. Lillian found her voice, though it trembled when she spoke. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" A weak attempt at control, but it was slipping. Ethan glared at her. "I got a text from you last night. You told me to meet you here for a surprise." Her breath hitched. Panic rippled through her features before she turned to me, desperate. I didn't text him." I tilted my head, feigning confusion. "Really?" I pulled her phone from my pocket. "Because your phone says otherwise." I flipped the screen toward her, displaying the messages she hadn't written but that bore her name nonetheless. Her eyes widened, horror dawning, mouth opening as if to protest, but no sound came. Ethan's nostrils flared, his fists clenched. "You set us up," he ground out. I smirked. "Ding, ding, ding. Give the man a prize." Lillian let out a strangled sob. "Please, I can explain." "Oh, I bet you can." I cut in, voice sharp as a blade. "I bet you've got a whole list of lies just waiting to be fed to me, just like you've been doing for months." Ethan scoffed, running a hand through his hair. "This is ridiculous. You're acting crazy." I turned to him slowly, my amusement fading. "Crazy?" I repeated, my voice a whisper laced with something deadly. "Crazy is trusting your best friend only to find out he's been screwing your wife behind your back. Crazy is watching the two people closest to you lie to your face every single day and pretending not to notice. Crazy is thinking I would let you both walk away from this unscathed." Lillian sobbed. "Please, baby, don't." My voice was like steel, slicing through the last remnants of whatever love had once existed between us. She flinched as if I had struck her. Ethan took a step toward the door. "I don't have to listen to this." I blocked his path. "Oh, but you're not going anywhere just yet." His jaw tensed. "What the hell do you want?" I leaned in slightly, lowering my voice to something almost gentle. "I want you both to feel what it's like to have your world ripped apart." A slow, dangerous smile stretched across my lips. "And trust me, this is just beginning." Lillian whimpered, shaking her head. "Please." I moved to the counter, picking up a folder and tossing it onto the coffee table. "Let's go over the consequences of your choices, shall we?" She hesitated, staring at it as though it might burst into flames. Ethan, ever the arrogant fool, scoffed. "What is this? Some pathetic attempt to scare us?" I smirked. "Go ahead. Open it." With a huff, he flipped it open, then froze. Lillian peered over his shoulder. The blood drained from her face. Inside were photographs, dozens of them. Crystal-clear images of stolen kisses in dimly lit hotel rooms, secret rendezvous in parking lots, lingering touches at restaurants. Every moment of their affair meticulously documented. Lillian's hands flew to her mouth. "Oh my God!" Ethan's voice was hoarse. "How?" I shrugged. I had my suspicions. So I hired a private investigator. Turns out, you two weren't as discreet as you thought. Lillian broke down, sobbing, but I wasn't finished. I pulled out another stack of papers. This, I said, my voice void of warmth, is our divorce agreement, already signed by me. She gasped. What? You won't be getting a dime, Lillian. I made sure of that. Her breath hitched. No, you can't. Oh, but I can, and I already have. Ethan sat frozen, staring at the evidence of his downfall. I pulled out my phone, tapping the screen before turning it toward them. And here's the best part. A recording played. Lillian's voice, dripping with deceit, confessing her plans to leave me for Ethan, bragging about how she was stringing me along, waiting to drain as much money as she could. She let out a strangled noise. Where did you get that? I smirked. You should be more careful about who you trust. She collapsed, shaking. I turned to Ethan. And you? I made sure your company got all of this, too. His face went ghost white. You? Oh, but I did. I grinned. Enjoy the unemployment line. Silence. Thick. Suffocating. I grabbed my keys. Your things are packed, Lillian. There's a suitcase outside. Take it and go. She pleaded, but I was already walking away. I turned back once, meeting Ethan's shattered gaze. Oh, and one more thing. Your wife? She got all of this, too. He staggered, his world crumbling. I opened the door. Now, get the hell out of my sight.